And a very good morning to you. This is John Fradgley from the Bell Legal Group, back with you for another program of The Law and You, which means it must be Tuesday morning if you've lost track. This is your opportunity to get free legal advice between now and 9:30. All we want you to do is ring on that telephone as soon as you can. 55208888 is the number. That number again, 55208888. And we have a couple of callers who've been very quick out of the blocks this morning and waiting very patiently there. So we'll say a very good morning to Suzanne. Good morning, Suzanne. How are you today?
Not bad, thank you.
That's good. How can we help?
I have a query about payment of commission.
Sure.
I had a house for sale with an agent who started his own dealership, and he wanted me to go with him, but the dealer principal of the one I was with convinced me to stay and that he would look after me and all that personally, which did not eventuate. So I didn't really get a sale with him, but in the meantime, he told me that he had someone who did a lot of buying and selling with Renaults and was very interested in my property.
So who told you this, the dealer principal or the agent who'd left?
The agent had left.
Right, okay.
So the dealer principal convinced me to stay with him of this day.
Yep.
So I'll call the agent that left, agent number one. So then he told me, the dealer principal, he had a fellow who'd sold and bought a lot of property and was very interested in mine because of the size. Well, I said, what sort of an offer did he make? Oh, no offers because he hasn't sold his yet, but he is interested. So the expiry of the agreement with him was just about finished, but I let him keep the board on the property because I thought, well, maybe this fellow will come back, which he did, but he said no. His builder said it was too expensive to do a reno. Okay, so I decided to put the property back for rent and asked him to take the board down, which he did. And then last week he rang me and he said, this fellow was looking at properties again. He suggested mine again. And did I want to sell? I said yes, and I told him what I wanted in hand. And just prior to that, I had rang agent number one who had left, who I always had very good dealings with. And I said, when I put the property back on, I'll give it to you. And actually, by coincidence, he was selling the property of this fellow that was interested in mine originally. So, and this fellow rang agent number one and said, look, yes, I know that you originally had that property for sale, but I've rang that agent now. But he told me first the price, which I was happy with, but then when he told me that he wanted so much commission, I won't pay that. And he said, do you think you know the lady, you could do a deal, just her and me? Because he never gave what he wanted to pay in writing or even a verbal one. And, and he said, well, I'm sort of, not that I would have been happy to pay this agent commission, but the fact is that he won't pay that, Like
yes, well, the most important thing in all of this, Suzanne, is whether you've signed an authority to sell with the dealer principal. So it'll turn on the terms of that agreement. So normally, what a lot of agents will do is that they'll get you to sign up for an exclusive use. Which means that only that person can sell, and it's for a set period of time. But those agreements do provide that after the expiration of the exclusive use, that the agreement will continue on as an open listing until it's terminated by either party. And I think from memory that it has to be terminated in writing. So the danger you've got... the danger you've got is that if the buyer who's now looking at it was someone who was introduced by the dealer principal originally, then you may have a situation where if you tried to sell the property to the person through agent one, that you may get a claim for commission by the dealer principal. But the level of your commission, the level of commission should be determined by the agreement that you originally signed. It should set out what you've agreed to as commission.
Well, this happened on the 28th of May, even though the agreement expired really in April, but I let them keep it, I didn't say no. I by email thanked them and said this was it.
Right.
But the fact is, it's quite true. I was concerned about that too because he did introduce us, this fellow, and tried to ring him all the time.
Yep.
But what he was trying to do too, we had a set fee of commission, and now, because Agent 1 told me that's what this guy told him, that he's opted another 5,000, because I know he's trying to get me to reduce my price so that he gets more commission.
Well, I think you're entitled to say to the dealer principal that the commission is whatever was set out in the agreement you originally signed.
Yeah. But I don't think I should go in between just the two of us, because he could sue me, couldn't he?
I think you would need to be careful. I certainly wouldn't be recommending you do anything without getting the documents checked, the Form 6 that you signed. Whereabouts on the Gold Coast do you live, Suzanne?
Burley Waters.
Okay, right. Well, look, the only thing I could suggest if you want to get the documents checked further would be to get onto the Gold Coast Community Legal Centre and Advice Bureau, because they come to the various areas on the Gold Coast and run their free legal services there. So you could take any documents you've signed into one of those appointments. So have you got a pen handy, and I'll give you the number?
Yeah, I've got one here.
Okay, so their number is 5532 9611.
9611.
So 5532 9611. Find out when they're next in your area, where the nearest point is, so that you can make an appointment and go and see them and take in the documentation and go through it carefully with them. All right,
I really appreciate your help. Thank you.
Okay, Suzanne, all the very best. Time on 4CRB, just past 12 minutes past 9 as we say good morning to John. G'day, John. How are you today? John, are you there? Hello, John.
Hello.
Yes, how are you, John?
Good.
That's good. How can I help you today?
I want to talk about a prepaid cremation for myself.
Right.
I've made some inquiries, and the price goes between $3,000 and $5,000. And they want this money up front, of course.
Yes.
And they call it a guardian plan. And I'm just want to know, if I put this money up front, is there any likelihood that I could have problem if these people became insolvent?
Well, certainly if they did become insolvent, there could be a problem, or there would be a problem. So what I think you really need to do with these sorts of things, John, is to shop around, but also to do some research and perhaps enter into this sort of an arrangement with either with an insurance company, but making sure that that it's going to cover the complete cost of the cremation, or alternatively with one of the long-established funeral directing companies. Because I think from memory, when you prepay a funeral, I think the funeral companies have to lodge those monies into a trust account. They get the income from memory on the investment of those funds, but the money does go into a trust account, which hopefully should ensure that it's covered. So that if you were dealing with one of the long-established and reputable funeral companies, then hopefully that should all be okay.
Yes.
So unfortunately, I couldn't give you any guarantee that it's going to be 100% correct. But I do know a lot of people who do these sorts of plans with the various funeral directing companies around, and the ones that I've had interaction with over some 10 to 20 years, there's not really been any problem with.
I understand.
All right, then.
Do you think I should ask my solicitors to organise this?
Well, it's probably more a thing where what you're really looking for is advice that the particular company that you're thinking of dealing with is reputable. So,
yes.
Which area of the Gold Coast do you live? Where do you live?
I live at Surfers Paradise.
Okay, well, look, what I would suggest you do is probably make the inquiries of the companies that you're thinking about using, because obviously we can't talk about particular companies in this program.
That.
Get the proposals from them in writing,
Yes.
And then what I would suggest you could do is you could also go and you could ring and make an appointment to go and see the Gold Coast Community Legal Centre and Advice Bureau at their closest visited premises to you, because they do visit premises up and down the coast, and you could just take the documentation in and just ask them for some advice in relation to it, or you could go and see your own solicitor in relation to it. But I'm just thinking there, of course, that your solicitor may wish to charge for reviewing the documents, whereas if you went to the Advice Bureau, that service is free.
Oh, that's very good.
Would you like their phone number?
I would indeed, thank you.
Okay, have you got a pen handy?
Yes.
Okay, so 5532
5532
9611.
9611.
Yes.
Many thanks for that.
Okay, John, all the very best.
Thank you so much.
And the time on 4CRB is just coming up to 16 and a half minutes past 9. The Law and You is the program. 55208888 is the telephone number you need to call if you have a question or a query. Just like Mary. G'day, Mary. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
That's good. How can we help?
Oh, is that you, John?
It is indeed.
Oh, I'm through already. It's Mary calling.
Yes, Mary.
I would like to know, now I have a rather complex problem with my son, who's my executor and my power of attorney.
Right.
Now, I was put by a mental court into my son's hands, which I gave him power of attorney in that, and all my money in that is managed by him. I have to go through him if I want anything for my home or that.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to sell my home. I thought I'd move. He said to me, no, you cannot sell. And I said, but I own the place. Why can't I sell it? You know, I'm not doing any harm. I'll have you approve the next place I go into. Now, can he do that to me? Or do I have to change him as executor and put it in my other son's hands?
Well, Mary, the first issue that you're going to confront is that you will need to get a medical assessment to say that you're now legally competent. And
I have got that.
Okay,
yes.
So if you've got that, and certainly talking to you, you know, you certainly sound fine. So if you have that assessment from a doctor to say that you are mentally competent, then you should go and see your solicitor, because what you would need to do is revoke the existing power of attorney.
I realise that.
And make a new power of attorney in favour of whoever it is that you wish to make. But but even if you are competent, that doesn't mean, and this is subject to whatever orders were made by the court or whatever as far as your affairs are concerned. So I just place that caveat there. You'd probably need to get all of that checked by your solicitor or a solicitor to make sure that you're able to do what you wish to do, because a power of attorney, if your son simply has your power of attorney, then if you are legally competent, even though he's your attorney, he does not have the right to stop you from selling. But some people think that once they have a power of attorney for someone, whether they're competent or not, they have complete control of their affairs, which is not the case. Because whilst a person remains legally competent, they can make whatever decisions they like, and if the attorney tries to interfere, then the obvious thing to do is to revoke the power of attorney and appoint. I would always recommend that if you're going to revoke a power of attorney, you appoint a new attorney, because it's always wise to have an attorney in place just in case we do lose capacity. So, so Mary, I think if the situation is as you describe, that you have been assessed as being legally competent, then subject only to a review of whatever orders or documents have previously been put in place, there should be no reason why you cannot proceed to sell your property as you wish to do and to buy another place.
I'd have him approve the place I'll be buying and that, because he buys and sells places. He's a millionaire, you know. He buys and sells places like if it's no tomorrow.
Right.
But when I want to sell my place and go somewhere different or somewhere better, if I can get a good price for my place, I wouldn't sell for nothing.
Yes.
Well, I don't see why I can't.
Yes. Well, as I say,
I'm 75.
So if he's going to be interfering like that, then it may be that you do need to revoke the power of attorney, but you'll need to get your lawyer to fully check those documents before you proceed to or attempt to revoke the power of attorney in case, or whatever order it is that he's acting under, in case there is anything there that needs more action rather than just a revocation of your power of attorney.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you very much. I couldn't even put external blinds, what do they call them, the steel blinds on my place.
Oh, really?
On the outside.
Yes.
I couldn't even put these. No, Mum, it wouldn't add any value to your property.
Yeah. Well, whether it'll add value or not is irrelevant. It's whether they're going to provide a benefit to you as the resident. So,
well, it looks better than the canvas blinds.
Yes.
Aesthetically, it looks better.
Yes. All right.
But anyway, I'll get there.
I'll leave that to you, Mary. All the very best, and I hope that all works out for you.
John.
No trouble at all. This is 4CRB 89.3 FM. The Law and You is the program. The telephone number 55208888. Presently no calls online. If you live south of the Tweed River, don't forget you need to put 07 in front of the number. We'll be back after this word from our sponsor.
Harvey Norman Cooking. Everything for the heart of your home. Spend $3.99 or more on selected cooking appliances in one transaction and receive bonus Wolf Blast wine valued at $300. Buy now with 50 months interest-free. No deposit, no interest with 50 equal monthly payments until September 2023. Minimum financed amount $750. Approved applicants only. Interest applies if you do not comply with terms and conditions. Fees and exclusions apply. Bonus wine via redemption. See in store for details. Bonus Wolf Blast wine offer. Limited time only at Harvey Norman.
Sponsor.
It's Dental Health Week, the 5th to the 11th of August. If you've had your dentures for a long time, you may want to ask yourself, when was the last time anyone looked under your dentures? Bromley's Denture Clinic advocate having your mouth and gums regularly checked to ensure a healthy oral environment. Call our sponsor today for a free consultation, clean and polish of your dentures as part of Dental Health Week. 55 232 555.
And this is the Law and You on 4CRB, the telephone number 55208888. Presently, we have no callers online, so if you have a question or a query that you'd like to have dealt with in the next few minutes of the program, get on that telephone straight away, 55208888. One thing that I was wanting to talk about today is some changes that are coming through in relation to the manufactured homes legislation in Queensland. From the 1st of September this year, there are going to be some fairly important changes that are made because manufactured homes are increasingly becoming an option for people as a form of residence in their twilight years. So quite often in these residential or manufactured home parks, you'll find that the bulk of the people living in there are in fact of retirement age. Some of them, in fact, have conditions which require you to be over a certain age in order to reside there. So with the increasing cost in owning a home and land as freehold title, or alternatively only owning a residential freehold apartment, even for that matter, looking at the options of going into a retirement village. Sometimes these manufactured homes can represent a far more affordable option for people, but there have been some problems with them over the years in terms of the operators of the park putting the rent up and things of that nature, and disputes, etc., not being satisfactorily dealt with. But from the 1st of September, there are some major changes or significant changes that are going to come in into play under this legislation, and it's certainly going to lead to an increase in the transparency between park owners and the actual homeowners, and also provide increased security and confidence for the homeowners, which is a good thing. So there are going to be changes in the dispute resolution processes that are employed in these things. There's going to be a requirement for there to be a notice board which clearly displays all the rules of the park, and the park owner must make sure that that those are the current rules that are in force, so people know exactly what's going on, and also to provide information about how one of the owners in the park can obtain a copy of those rules at no cost to them. They're also going to be setting out clearly what is going to be available in terms of how the site rental can be increased for the area, because as you may or may not know, in these manufactured home parks, you actually buy the home, which is on the property, and they're referred to as relocatable, but it would be a bit of a mission to pick one up and move it from one place to another. But what you do is actually pay site rental for the land on which the house is sitting, and they're all plumbed in and with electricity and all those sorts of things. So, and quite often these parks have many facilities such as swimming pools and tennis courts and community centres and all those sorts of things. So it is certainly going to be an improvement. There's also going to be more regulation around how utilities such as water and electricity can be charged, and particularly where those services are metered to the site. There's also going to be need for a park liaison committee and a homeowners committee, so that and I think that's all part of trying to ensure that the disputes that may otherwise arise in these centres will certainly be diminished. And the other thing too that they're going to do is to be providing emergency access to the park, so that visitors who need to attend in emergency will be able to do so. So all in all, that's just part of the changes that are going to be made, but there are going to be quite a few, which is going to be very good for those people living in them or those who are looking to go into them. But we have another caller online, probably our last caller for the day, as we say a very good morning to another John. G'day, John. How are you?
Good, thanks, John.
How can we help?
I've got a query about superannuation payments.
Right.
I'm working for a company and haven't been paid any superannuation since April this year, and they owe me about $3,500. And a friend of mine, he works for another company, and they haven't paid him any superannuation since last year, and he's owed over $5,000, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Is there any legal action we can take?
So are you on wages?
Yes.
Okay, so you're receiving you've received correspondence presumably from your superannuation, whatever industry fund or retail fund you're in, saying that they've not received any payments, or your pay slip is showing that there have not been any payments made? They haven't contacted me, but my wife's contacted them because since my friend told me about his superannuation problem, I checked mine out and found out that I'm short as well. But it does come up on your pay slip how much you're supposed to have taken out of your pay slip at, say, 9.5%. Yes, that's right. But the superannuation company is saying they haven't received those contributions. That's right. Well, I think the first thing to do, John, would be to speak to your employer in relation to it. And normally the superannuation company sends you a statement to say, what they've received. So I wonder whether it might be possible to get a statement from the superannuation company showing that they've not received any payments, and then that would be a legitimate document if you're concerned about going to your employer and saying that I've rung or my wife's rung, and if you're trying to keep it low key with your employer, then obviously a letter or a statement from the superannuation company would be the best. Alternatively, if you've got a reasonable relationship with the super company, I think with your employer, there'd be certainly no reason why you couldn't approach them and say, look, I've been in touch with the super company, or I've learned recently that my super contribution, there's been none paid in since April. I'm just wondering what's going on, and just see what they say. I can do that. But there certainly are steps that you can take in relation to it. I think from memory you can contact the Australian Taxation Office in relation to it if your super's not paid, and they will investigate it for you. I'm not 100% sure of any other offices that you can go to in relation to it. The other one that you could possibly go to would be Fair Work, and they would certainly be able to tell you where you can go to do that. If you wanted, I can give you a number for Fair Work.
Yes, please.
Okay, have you got a pen?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so the number is 1300 799 675.
All right.
So give them a call and they'd be able to head you in the right direction. But unfortunately, John, we'll just have to leave it there because we've just got the news pressing up. So all the very best with that. No trouble. And by all means, ring back next week, or alternatively ring Finance Forum on Thursday because superannuation is very much their thing.
All right. Thanks for your help, John.
Okay, John, all the best. Well, this is John Fradgley from the Bell Legal Group. It's been great to be with you for the Law and You this morning. Of course, I'll look forward to being back with you next week for another program when you can get more free legal advice. But until then, as always, it's goodbye and God bless.